ancient days of Persia, King Jamshid ruled with splendor. Under his reign, arts flourished, cities thrived, and people prospered. But pride became his downfall. He claimed divinity for himself, forgetting that kingship belongs to justice, not arrogance. The people turned away, and into this void stepped Zahhak, a man hungry for power, guided by the whispers of evil. By treachery and blood, Zahhak seized the throne, and with him came the dark night of tyranny. Zahhak's corruption did not remain hidden. From his very shoulders sprouted two hideous black serpents, a sign of the darkness within him. At first, he recoiled in horror, but the whispers of demons soothed him, urging him to accept his fate. The serpents soon revealed their hunger, not for ordinary food, but for the brains of innocent young men. Thus began an age of terror. Every day, soldiers raided homes, seizing sons from their mothers' arms to feed the monsters. Zahhak ruled from golden halls adorned with jewels, yet his throne sat upon rivers of grief. The people trembled at his name. Markets fell silent. Weddings ended in sorrow, and children no longer laughed in the streets. Though he wore a crown of kings, he was feared as a butcher of the innocent. Persia became a land of shadows, where hope itself seemed chained. Amidst this suffering lived a blacksmith named Kaveh. He was no nobleman, no warrior of fame, only a craftsman, his hands calloused from years at the forge. Yet his heart was stronger than iron, for he had known both toil and love. 18 sons he had raised, but one by one the king's men came, dragging them away to feed the serpents. The hammer in his hand grew heavier with grief, until only one son remained. When Zahhak's soldiers came again, Kaveh's soul ignited with fury. He walked into the tyrant's palace, past guards clad in gold and courtiers cloaked in fear. Before Zahhak's throne, where no man dared raise his eyes, Kaveh stood tall. His voice thundered like the strike of his hammer. "O King of Serpents, you have taken my sons, you have broken my people, and now you demand the last of my blood. I will not surrender him." "Enough," the courtiers gasped. Never had such words been spoken in Zahhak's presence. Some whispered prayers for Kaveh, expecting his death in that very moment. But the blacksmith did not tremble. He tore the royal decree, cast it at Zahhak's feet, and turned his back on the tyrant's throne. That act, simple yet bold, was more powerful than any sword. Outside the palace, Kaveh raised high the leather apron he wore for his work. Binding it to a spear, he held it aloft for all to see. What was once a blackened cloth of labor became a sacred banner. The people gathered, drawn not by gold or command, but by the truth it represented. This was the birth of the Kaviani banner, destined to become the eternal symbol of resistance and freedom. Word spread like wildfire through the towns and villages. Men laid down their plows, women raised their voices, and youths clenched their fists with resolve. They did not come for conquest, but for justice. The blacksmith's banner became the rallying flame that united a broken nation. Their march thundered across the land, and the earth itself seemed to tremble with their footsteps. Within his palace, Zahhak listened to the rising cries of his people. The serpents writhed on his shoulders, restless and uneasy. For the first time, fear entered his own heart. He who had stolen sons and silenced nations now felt the roar of unity breaking his chains of power. Though he sat upon a jeweled throne, he knew it could not shield him from the tide of revolt. At the head of the multitude stood Kaveh, his banner lifted against the heavens. It was no weapon of war, but it carried the weight of every lost child, every broken home, every silent cry. The people saw not just a blacksmith, but the voice of their own suffering turned into courage. Though Zahhak would not fall that day, the uprising had begun, and when the hero Feridun would rise, it was upon this fire of rebellion that he would march. Thus, the tale of Kaveh and his banner became immortal, a story of defiance, of unity, and of the moment when ordinary hands forged the destiny of a nation.